North Dakota State has won 9 of the last 12 national titles and has dominated at the FCS level for the past decade plus. Going into this season, only James Madison and Sam Houston State were the only other programs to win national titles during that time period. A fourth team joined the club this past season in North Dakota State's arch rival South Dakota State, who dominated the Bison en route to winning their first national title in program history. Going forward, the Jackrabbits could be the Georgia to North Dakota State's Alabama, which North Dakota State's dominance has been consistently compared to. Could South Dakota State be the new dynasty to watch at the FCS level? Stay tuned to find out. The South Dakota State Jackrabbits began playing football in 1889, but would take an 8-year hiatus after their first game. They resumed playing football in 1897. Mr. Morrison, according to South Dakota State's website, would be the first head coach in 1900, but would be replaced by L.L. Gilkey for the 1901 season. In 1919, Charles A. West took over as head coach for the Jackrabbits, and they began playing in the North Central Conference, aka the NCC, which was a Division II conference in 1922. Charter members of the NCC were South Dakota State, the University of St. Thomas, Des Moines University, Creighton University, North Dakota Agricultural College, now North Dakota State, the University of North Dakota, Morningside College, and the University of South Dakota and Nebraska Wesleyan University. Under West, the Jackrabbits would find early success, winning 3 of their first 4 conference titles. Cy Casper would take over in 1928 and led the Jackrabbits to another conference title in 1933. In 1947, Ralph Ginn would become the head coach of the South Dakota State Jackrabbits and led them to 9 NCC conference titles and 113 wins from 1947 to 1968. After the Jackrabbits conference title win in 1963, Ginn would fail to lead South Dakota State to another winning season through his last season in 1968. In 1979, John Gregory led South Dakota State to their first NCAA Division II playoff appearance. Over the next 20 years, South Dakota State would be mediocre under Gregory Wayne Hensel and Mike Daly. Enter John Stiegelmeyer. John Stiegelmeyer lives and breathes South Dakota State Jackrabbits football. Stig was born in Selby, South Dakota, and attended South Dakota State, even serving as a student assistant for the Jackrabbits during the Division II playoff run. Between 1980 to 1987, he served as an assistant for Northern Iowa, North High School, and Northern State before returning to Brookings, South Dakota. In 1988, he served as the school's defensive back coach and recruiting coordinator before taking over as defensive coordinator in 1991. In 1997, Stig took over as head coach, a role he would hold up until a few weeks ago. Stig set a good example for the program from day one, allowing assistant coaches to coach their own respective responsibilities. He took notes and emphasized discipline, faith, and family values. Things that stuck with his players even after their Jackrabbit careers came to an end. At the time, the Jackrabbits were a Division II football program but would jump to the FCS level in 2004. They began their FCS tenure as charter members of the Great West Football Conference, a now defunct conference that included the likes of Southern Utah, Cal Poly, UC Davis, Northern Missouri, North Dakota State, and Northern Colorado. They won their lone Great Conference title in 2007 before moving to the Missouri Valley Football Conference for the 2008 season. In 2009, South Dakota State made it to the FCS playoffs for the first time in program history, but would go 5-6 in 2010 and 2011. Ever since then, though, the Jackrabbits have never missed an FCS playoffs. In 2017 and 2018, they would make it to the semifinal game, but lost to James Madison and North Dakota State respectively. Finally, in 2020, the Jackrabbits would make it to the national title game, beating Holy Cross, Southern Illinois, and Delaware, but would fall to Sam Houston State in heartbreaking fashion, 23-21. In 2021, it looked like it was going to be a North Dakota State and South Dakota State championship game. They beat UC Davis 56-24, Sacramento State 24-19, and Villanova 35-21, with the latter two matchups on the road. They traveled to Bozeman, Montana to take on Montana State in the semifinals, where they fell to the Bobcats 31-17. Going into the 2022 season, the goal for the program was to win the national title game. Strength coach Matt Jacobs had helped players like Garrett Greenfield and Mason McCormick get into their prime playing shape. According to Coach Stig, this was the closest team he had ever coached. Mark Gronowski returned after starting as a true freshman but tore his ACL in the 2020 FCS championship game. As a result, he backed up 60-year senior Chris Oladakum during the 2021 season. Running back Isaiah Davis looked primed to have a big season after backing up Pierre Strong, who was drafted in the 4th round of the NFL draft. The rest of the offense looked strong, as well as the defense. South Dakota State pushed Iowa to the brink on the road, losing 7-3 in Iowa City to start the season. Going into their rivalry matchup against North Dakota State, the Jackrabbits were 5-1, just like the Bison, whose only loss of the season came in a 31-28 loss to Arizona. The two play for the Dakota Marker, a 75-pound quartzite that is roughly a billion years old, exposed by the flow of the Big Sioux River. Former Bison quarterback Carson Wentz told ESPN the marker would be special all on its own just because it's so cool and the history behind it is amazing. It's the story of the Dakotas. But then you add in what is at stake in the game, what always seems to be at stake in this game, and it just multiplies what the marker means by 100. These schools recruit the same players, and it just means more for them. It's a game that's talked about 365 days a year. They've played 113 times going back to 1903. They both agreed to jump to the FCS level together. The two teams went into this year's matchup ranked 1 and 2 in the FCS rankings. This was the 10th straight year that the two teams were ranked inside the top 10 of the rankings going into the matchup. The Jackrabbits were on a 2-game win streak and extended it to 3 straight, winning the Dakota Marker 23-21. The Jackrabbits would finish the regular season 10-1 and undefeated in conference play, winning the conference title. In the playoffs, the number 1 ranked Jackrabbits beat Delaware 42-6, Holy Cross 42-21, and got revenge against Montana State in the semifinals 39-18. They played North Dakota State for the second time, this time in the national title game. At the end of the first quarter, the two were tied 7-7. That's when the Jackrabbits would go on a 21-0 run and never looked back. They rushed for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, while passing for 223 yards and 3 more touchdowns through the air, beating the Bison 45-21, winning their first national title in program history, and securing their first 4-game win streak over North Dakota State for the first time since 1947 and 1950. After leading the Jackrabbits to their first ever national championship, Coach Stig, who is now 65, decided to announce his retirement. He finished his career leading the Jackrabbits to a 119-112 record, leading them to 12 postseason appearances, including a streak of 11 straight, 4 Missouri Valley Conference titles, a Great West Conference title, 2 FCS semifinal appearances, and 2 national championship appearances. Stig's statement said, "Lori and I, with our family, want to thank South Dakota State University and the SDSU Athletics for being blessed to serve as the head football coach. During our 26 years in the role, a lifetime of memories have occurred. The support of so many, including 3 university presidents, numerous assistant coaches, countless student athletes, 2 athletic directors, and the Jackrabbits fan base has been so special. Thank you to each and every one of you who has believed in us." Jimmy Rogers is set to take over as the new Jackrabbits head coach. Rogers is a former South Dakota State star player and has spent the last 10 years on the Jackrabbits coaching staff. He was the defensive coordinator for the Jackrabbits this past season, leading a defensive unit that was 3rd best in scoring defense in the FCS with 15.8 points per game. Athletic director Justin Sell told CBS 4 Indy, "Simply put, South Dakota State University is in a better place because of John and Lori Stiegelmeyer. Their impact goes far beyond wins and losses or championships, because of the family culture they have fostered throughout their time here and by building a program based on character, hard work, and excellence in all areas. Jimmy Rogers upholds those same values, and I'm excited to see him move into this next phase of his coaching career. His vision and plan for the future will allow us to continue to compete for national championships." The 35-year-old head ball coach could continue the Jackrabbits' success with 18 returning starters coming back next season, including Gronowitzki, Davis, star linebacker Adam Bach, and All-American guard Mason McCormick. But what do you think? Will South Dakota State continue their dominance and dethrone North Dakota State as the best team at the FCS level going forward? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos right here. Don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching. I could not be more thankful for y'all. You guys make this all possible for me, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.